Chasing Starlight by Atacana Stardust on AO3. Summary: Aizawa and Mic share a moment that has always been destined to happen. Come on, Shota, we're almost there. Aizawa grumbles under his breath as he reluctantly follows Hisashi through a patch of undergrowth, cursing himself for letting the blonde talk him into this little nighttime rendezvous. Earlier that night, Hisashi, Aizawa's childhood friend and fellow hero in training, had called him up out of the blue. Aizawa had been relaxing in his nice, warm sleeping bag in his nice, warm apartment when Hisashi had suggested they hung out. They only had a few days until their next major exam, and Hisashi was insistent on having some fun before studying took all their free time. Of course, Aizawa had declined at first. The nights were getting colder and the days were shorter, which made him want to do nothing but stay indoors and keep warm until he was forced to leave. However, saying no to Hisashi was no easy task. Even when Aizawa couldn't see him, he could practically picture that pathetic puppy dog look on his stupidly cute face. When Hisashi had asked him again in that sweet, pleading voice of his, Aizawa knew there was no use fighting it. And so he finds himself in the present, huddled in his scarf and rubbing his arms for warmth, as he followed Hisashi to whatever the blonde had referred to as his special spot. If Aizawa had known it was out in the middle dumb fuck nowhere forest, he would have turned around 20 minutes ago. It's freezing, Hisashi. Please tell me we're close or I might have to end you. Aizawa mumbles through the thick fabric of his scarf. He'd nearly tripped and bit the dust 5 times already, and his patience with Mother Nature is wearing thin. I promise it'll be worth it, Shota. Just a little further. Hisashi replied, peeking over his shoulder to make sure Aizawa hadn't decided to up and leave. He flashes a smile, and Aizawa tries to ignore the way his face heats up at the sight. This stupid little crush he's having is driving him nuts. Hisashi has been his best friend since childhood, and Aizawa just had to go up and fall in love with him one day like an idiot. Of course, Hisashi is completely oblivious to his real feelings, which Aizawa is grateful for, because even the slightest physical contact between them makes his heart race like the dumb, love-struck teenager he is. Not that he would mind if the feeling was mutual, but for now, that seems like a distant dream. He is snapped out of his thoughts when he hears an excited whoop come from several feet in front of him, and he looks up to see a mile-wide smile across Hisashi's face. We're here. Come on, you've got to see this. Hisashi shouts excitedly, beckoning Aizawa to come to the forest's edge. Aizawa sighs heavily, snuggling further into his scarf, and traces Hisashi's footsteps until they're standing side by side. When Aizawa looks up from the path he's been carefully watching to avoid tripping, he is taken aback by the sight before him. There, on the edge of the forest, is a beautiful, crystal clear lake that stretches as far as the eye can see, tranquil and undisturbed. Well, what you think? Hisashi asks excitedly, flashing Aizawa a huge, cheesy grin. Aizawa forgets all about being cold and the annoying amount of time it took them to get here as he takes in the scenery. It's... Aizawa starts, and Mike is practically vibrating with excitement as he awaits a response. Beautiful, he says with awe, and Aizawa thinks that in all his life, he's never been quite as impressed with the outside world as he is right now. Perhaps the most breathtaking thing of it all is the way the water still reflects the twinkling lights and the pale moon above like a mirror, giving the illusion that the sky is within their reach. Right? It's like we stepped into another world or something. Isn't it great? Hisashi asked, grabbing Aizawa's shoulder and shaking him excitedly. Aizawa is used to the casual physical contact between them, but right now, with the atmosphere, and the fact that Hisashi is so damn close already, Aizawa can't help but think he wants to get even closer. He pushes that thought to the back of his mind and tries to focus on something other than how good Hisashi looks in the moonlight. Are you okay, Shota? You're shivering. Hisashi asks, concern overtaking his excitement, as he furrows his brows and frowns when he feels a light tremor coming from his friend. He certainly didn't want Aizawa to catch a cold because of him. Aizawa snaps back to reality and shakes his head, trying to ignore the way his heart is fluttering in his chest at his friend's closeness. It's fine, it's just kind of chilly is all. Aizawa brushes off his friend's concern, trying to hide his blush underneath the scarf. Well, why didn't you say so? Here, have my jacket. I've got a sweater on underneath, and I'm not that cold anyways. Isashi reassures him, shrugging off his signature leather jacket, and before Aizawa can protest, Isashi wraps it around him and flashes him another grin. Hey, you look pretty good in that, Isashi muses, crossing his arms and taking a step back to observe. He whistles, cheekily, pretending to take a picture, and giving Aizawa a thumbs up. Aizawa stiffens as his brain begins to short circuit because holy shit, he is wearing Isashi's jacket, still warm from clinging to Isashi's body, covered in Isashi's scent. Shit, this really isn't good. He can already feel his body reacting to the intimacy of it, and it's getting harder and harder to try and hide the redness in his cheeks. Anyways, I guess I should tell you the real reason I brought you all the way out here. Aizawa snaps out of his internal freak out to look up at Isashi. The blonde rubs the back of his neck nervously, just like he always does when he's got something on his mind. And Aizawa's curiosity is piqued. It's taken me a while to gather up some courage to say this, so just hear me out, okay? Isashi asks, cutely, a small blush rising on his cheeks. And god damn it, why does he have to be so freaking cute? We've been friends since forever, and I know this is gonna sound weird, but I hope it doesn't scare you off because I don't think I could handle that. Isashi continues, face scrunching up cutely as he tries to convey his feelings. Aizawa freezes where he's standing, his mind trying to process just exactly what Isashi is trying to tell him. If there is any chance that Isashi feels the same way about him, then all those days of Aizawa pining in secret would have been worth it. Just spill it out already. Aizawa snaps, mostly out of jitters and not true annoyance. If he has to wait for Isashi to say what he thinks he's going to say for a second longer, he's going to go insane. Isashi wrings his hands together, nervously, looking around at anything but Aizawa as he gathers the courage to continue. Okay, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. Hisashi stutters, stumbling over his words as he desperately tries to convey his feelings. Aizawa bites his lip and forces himself to look into those gorgeous green eyes despite the urge to hide in his scarf out of embarrassment. I like you, Hisashi confesses, breathlessly, his cheeks now bright red. Like, as in more than a friend, I mean. I have for a while, but I was too afraid to tell you because I didn't want to mess up our friendship, but I just can't hide it anymore. I guess what I'm trying to say is, will you go out with me, Shota? He shouts the question, bowing slightly at Aizawa, and tightly closing his eyes, as if he's preparing himself for a terrible blow. An uneasy silence falls between them, as Aizawa tries to process what he just heard. Could this really be happening? After all the years of keeping his growing affection for his best friend a secret, could they really be about to cross the line from friends to lovers this early? It doesn't take too long for him to answer. Idiot. Aizawa mumbles, and Hisashi flinches, preparing himself for rejection. Instead, Aizawa closes the distance between them, yanking Hisashi upright by the collar, before pulling him close and crushing their lips together, roughly, in a passionate, highly anticipated, and long overdue first kiss. Isashi's eyes grow comedically wide as he feels Aizawa's lightly chapped lips working against his own, and his heart feels like he just finished running a marathon. Perhaps he's been blind to his friend's feelings this entire time, but it isn't like Shota is an easy person to read. After a moment, he relaxes and melts into the kiss, wrapping his arms around Shota's waist and pulling him flush against his chest. Aizawa releases his iron grip on Hisashi's collar and grips the blonde's shoulders for support as he feels himself growing weak in the knees. They stay like that for a while, lost in each other's embrace, as the world around them seems to stop. The stars, a perfect backdrop for the first time love. The forest behind them could be on fire, and Aizawa still isn't sure that he would end this moment. Finally, after a few minutes of getting completely lost in each other, Hisashi pulls away and smiles down at Aizawa, his eyes full of adoration, and his mind on cloud nine. You have no idea how happy I am right now, Shota, he whispers, and Aizawa's eyes widen when he sees a single tear of happiness slide down the blonde's cheeks. Aizawa's first instinct is to wipe it away, but Hisashi quickly grabs his wrist and plants a kiss on his pulse instead. Aizawa blushes furiously at the romantic gesture and looks away, flustered. Hisashi laughs and releases his arm, and Aizawa shoots him a glare, although there's no real malice behind it. You're so cute when you're flustered, Hisashi teases, his hand sneaking out Aizawa's to tangle their fingers together. Shut up, you're ruining the moment. Aizawa grumbles, allowing Hisashi to take his hand, and secretly wishing he would never let go. Sorry, I'm just so glad that you're my boyfriend now. We can totally go on dates, and send each other cute little text messages, and buy each other stuff, and... Hisashi excitedly goes on and on, but Aizawa is only half listening, as he looks up at Hisashi, who is looking out over the lake as he babbles and gestures with his free hand. To think that someone could have feelings for him, with his aloof attitude and unapproachable demeanor, it hardly seems real. All his life, Aizawa has been told to cheer up, to put on a smile, to try and fit in. But Hisashi, the only person that really matters in his life, never needed him to change, to be able to love him. And that is something that Aizawa will carry with him for the rest of his life. As Hisashi excitedly lists all the things they could do now that they're officially dating, Aizawa looks up at the stars, counting the beauty of this moment to memory. For like the stars themselves, Hisashi has always been a constant in his life, shining brightly and lighting up the darkness of Aizawa's heart when the light seems its darkest. And Aizawa swears, from that moment on, that he will shine just as brightly for Hisashi, a beacon of light that will always be there to light on his path, through the darkest nights, to welcome him with open arms. This was such a cute little one-shot. I love that. The scenery. I just want to talk about the scenery, specifically. I think, the whole little secluded, creek of like a little lake, and it's like crystal clear, and you could kind of see the stars reflected on, the night sky reflected on the water perfectly. That sounds beautiful. That sounds beautiful. There's a place specifically where it's like salt and like there's slight water on like a little water layer on top, and it is so clear and reflective. And I see a lot of people take pictures on that. Like, imagine that in the night. Like, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. That is a beautiful area, and that is actually such a cute little like, oh yeah, we got together here, and like they could come back for their anniversaries, and that would be, oh my god, imagine they get married there. Oh my god, imagine they get married there. That is so adorable. That is so cute. Or they could just not get married there. They could elope. I feel like Aizawa would definitely be the type to elope. How many of you agree? Aizawa would definitely be the type where it's like, oh, well, let's elope. Hisashi would go along with it because, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.